everybody. This is a tutorial for these little cherry plushies that I made. They're inspired by the jellycat ones that I keep seeing like everywhere. So these are them. I love them so much. So cute. All of the materials needed for the tutorial are going to be in the description, as well as some of the abbreviations, because I'm going to be putting the written pattern on the screen as I go. So if you just want to follow along with the written pattern, it's there as well. But anyways, let's get into this tutorial. Thanks so much for watching. So starting with my red yarn, I'm going to be doing a magic circle. So making sure the end is on the left side here. I'm just going to wrap it around my fingers twice. Take my hook, pull this second yarn underneath this first yarn here. So I have a loop on my hook. Now taking this working yarn, it's connected to my ball of yarn, and just pulling up a loop and then pulling up another loop there. So this is the start of our magic circle. In this circle, I'm going to put 6 single crochets. So there's 1. I'm just going to now place my stitch marker in the top of that loop because we'll need that again. And then I'm going to continue with my 5 other single crochets. 3, 4, and 6. Now just pulling on this yarn, it's a little bit wrapped around there. You just pull on this yarn and it should tighten that hole there. Don't pull too tight because this yarn can break very easily, but pull tight enough that there's no more hole there. And now just going into this stitch that we put the stitch marker, I'm going to single crochet 1 in there. And I'm just going to again put a stitch marker right there. So that magic circle is row 1. We put 6 single crochets into that row. At the beginning of every row, we're going to put a stitch marker. That way we don't have any seams, so we're not going to do any slip stitching or chaining between the rows. This first stitch here is technically the start of row 2. So for row 2, we're going to single crochet, increase into each of these 6 stitches. So this is 1 stitch. This is the first stitch of the row. So I'm just going to put another single crochet into that space again so that we get our increase. And now we're going to do the same, so 2 stitches in each stitch for the next 5 stitches to complete row 2. So in this stitch I'm going to do 2 single crochets. Okay. So I have 4 now, and we're going to keep going. Okay, so I finished my single crochet increase in all of these 6 stitches. Like I mentioned before, we're not going to slip stitch, so this is the first stitch of the round. Just to start the next round, we're going to single crochet into that space instead of slip stitching. As soon as I single crochet, I'm going to put the stitch marker back in that spot because that signifies the beginning of the round. So for round 3, it's going to be 1 single crochet and then followed by 1 single crochet increase. An increase is just 2 single crochets into that stitch. So I just did my 1 single crochet there. I'm going to do my single crochet increase. Okay. And now I'm going to do, so that was 1 kind of like section, the single crochet and the single crochet increase. I'm going to do that again 6 times. So 1 single crochet and then a single crochet increase. So 2 stitches into this one. And then we're going to keep going until we get to the end. So that's the end of row 3. For row 4, we're going to single crochet into that spot and place our stitch marker. And we're just going to do now 2 single crochets followed by a single crochet increase. So I did my 1, I'm going to do my second single crochet and then my single crochet increase. And I'm going to do that 5 more times. Okay, so as the pattern continues to go, as we're crocheting in the circle, we're going to increase our number of single crochets in between the single crochet increase. So we just did 2 single crochets and then a single crochet increase. So the next round here is going to be 3 single crochets and then a single crochet increase. I'm not going to explain every round from now on. I'm just going to have it written on the screen to follow. But we're going to keep going until we get to 9 single crochets and then single crochet increase. And after that round, I'll come back and meet you there. Okay, so this is where we are after just doing the round of 9 single crochets and single crochet increase 6 times. We're now just going to single crochet all the way across and do that for 9 rows. So keep going with your stitch marker, keep taking it out, and as soon as you put that first stitch, put it back in to signal the first of the row. It just makes it easier to keep track of how many rows you've done. So I've just finished the single crochet around for 9 rows. This is what it's looking like so far. We're now going to do our decreasing now. So just taking out the stitch marker and starting with this next row, we're going to do 9 single crochets and then decrease. So it's exactly like what we did building up. We're going to do the same just with decreasing. So I'm going to do 9 single crochets. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then just to decrease, we're going to insert our hook into this next stitch here and pull up a loop, and then inserting into the next stitch after that and pulling up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on the hook, and we're going to yarn over and pull through those 3. So that turns into 1 stitch. We took those 2 stitches and combined it into 1. So now we're going to do the same, the 9 single crochets. Nine, and then I'll show another decrease. So insert your hook into this next stitch, pull up a loop, and insert into this stitch after that and pull up a loop. You got 3 loops on your hook, and yarn over and pull through those 3. So that was I did 9 single crochets, a decrease, 9 single crochets, decrease. We're going to repeat that until the end of the row here. And then as we go along, I just finished that round here. We're going to keep decreasing, and so we just did, this round was 9 single crochets. In between the decreases, we're going to, after each row, decrease 1. So this row will be 8 single crochets and then a decrease, just the opposite of what we did at the beginning. I'm going to stop maybe halfway through so that there's a little opening at the top so we can stuff it, just so that it's not too small trying to stuff the stuffing into a small hole. So I'm just gonna keep going until it's like a pretty like small size, but good enough to stuff in. And then our very last row will just be 6 decreases. And then just slip stitch into this next stitch here. So slip stitch there, and then we're gonna pull through the yarn and cut a tail like a decent size, maybe that long, and just pull through it to create a knot. So I have my black yarn here for the feet. We're gonna start with a magic circle again. In this magic circle, place 6 single crochets. Pull it tight. And then again, as the start of the next row, I'm going to take out my stitch marker and just place a single crochet into that spot. And I'm going to place my stitch marker back into the top of that stitch. So for row 2, we're going to do 1 single crochet followed by a single crochet increase, and do that 3 times. So I did my 1 single crochet. I'm going to increase now. For row 3, I'm going to take out my stitch marker and do a decrease. Just going to place it back in there and do 2 more decreases. And then 3 single crochets. Okay, I'm just going to cut this yarn from the magic circle and just tuck it in there as we go. We now have 6 stitches left in the round. We're just going to continue in that round. So I just single crocheted 6 across for 4 more rows after that. I'm just going to slip stitch into the next stitch and cut the yarn. Leave a good amount because we're going to sew this to the cherry. Perfect. So now we want to make 4 of these. So I have my green yarn here for the stem. So with the green, we're gonna do another magic circle like how we did at the beginning with the red. And we're gonna do 6 single crochets into this magic circle. So do our little magic circle here. And then into the loop, we're gonna put 6 single crochets. Just again marking the first one with our stitch marker. 5 and 6, and then pulling on this yarn here, tightening the circle. And then to start the next row, we're going to take out our stitch marker and single crochet into that space so that we don't have any seams. All right, so for the stem, we're just gonna continue to do 6 single crochets all the way across, all around, until we reach a certain length. I'm gonna continue until the stem reaches about 6 inches or 15 centimeters. We can take out the stitch marker for this just because it doesn't really matter where we started. We're just gonna kind of go off how long we're making it. So I'll do the first round, just single crochet in every stitch, making sure that there's 6, and then just from then on continuing until we reach the length that we want. So that's why we don't really need the stitch marker. We're not finishing the rows or counting the rows. Just make sure it's flipped inside out so that our stitches are on the outside, and it'll create like this cylinder, which is what we want for the stem. So now that this string is kind of getting in the way, we can cut it, and it'll just continue along the inside. So it'll be just tucked in there. So now we're going to crochet the leaf. To start that, we're going to create a slip knot and chain 13. I chained 13, I'm going to chain 1 more, and into the second chain, the 13th one, we're going to do a single crochet. So just insert, pull up a loop, and pull through those 2 loops, and then we're going to do a half double crochet, and this is yarning over on our hook, inserting our hook into the stitch, pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on our hook, and pull through those 3 loops. Now we're going to do 2 double crochets. So yarn over, insert into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. We're going to do another one of that into the next stitch. So we're now going to do 4 treble crochets into the next 4 stitches. So for this, we yarn over twice, insert a hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 2 loops, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. We're going to do that again into the next 3, so we have 4 in total. Okay, now we're going to do 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches. Half double crochet, and then a single crochet, and then a slip stitch. So we've worked all along the top loops of that chain. We're going to now work along the bottom loops of that chain. So starting with the first stitch, we're going to slip stitch. It's going to be the exact same pattern we just did going there. It's good to weave the end in as we go as well. So I just did the slip stitch. We're going to do a single crochet, weaving the end in, followed by a half double crochet into the next stitch, and then 2 double crochets after that. And then 4 treble crochets in the next 4 stitches. And then 2 double crochets in the next 2 stitches. A half double crochet, and then we ended off with a single crochet, and then just chain 1 slip stitch into the same spot we had that single crochet. Okay, and I'm now just going to slip stitch again into the top of the very first single crochet from the top row. Okay, that's our little leaf. It's very cute. So just pull through the loop there, and we're gonna leave a long tail to sew it together, because we're gonna sew the leaf on there and we're gonna sew the 2 stems together. So leave pretty long, pull through all the way. Now taking our feet that we made, I'm gonna sew them to the bottom. I want them to sit sort of on top of it like this. So I'm gonna sew them kind of at the bottom there, and just taking your tapestry needle and threading the needle. Just gonna line up where I want it, and then just kind of sew back and forth. And then just to tie it off, you insert into a spot and pull through to create a knot. And then you just kind of thread the yarn. I will thread it through the foot. And then just snip at the end, and it's weaved in there. For the face detailing, just the smile, I have a string of black worsted weight yarn. It's just number size 4. It's a little bit smaller. This yarn is a little bit too thick for the smile. So I'm gonna take my yarn, insert my hook about here, and then on the same place on the other side, go through all the way. I'm gonna insert my hook again in the same spot as before and go down a couple of rows to about the middle. So about there. Just pull on, pull on all the yarn. I guess we just pulled that through by accident. And then we're just going to go into the same hole, but from above. And then we're gonna pull it back out where we started again. That. And then I'm just gonna thread this yarn again, and did not mean to pull it through there, and just pull it through here to where this yarn is. So just adjust it, tighten it a little bit, pulling on the strings, and then we're gonna tie these two ends together. Cut them, and then I use the back of my tapestry needle to just push it in to the hole there. And there's our little smile. I did this off camera, so I finished the 2 stems. They both measure to be about 6 inches tall or 15 centimeters. And then with the leaf, I sewed them all together. So I just put the 2 stems together like this and put the leaf on the side like this. And then taking the end of the yarn that we had, I cut it, but I had a tail end. You take your tapestry needle this way, and then you sew this way, and that's just how I got them all together like that. So now the final step is just to sew the stem onto the top of the cherries. So there are 6 stitches here and 6 stitches at the top of the cherry, so we're just going to sew into each of those stitches to combine them together. I'm just going to line it up to make sure it's where I want the leaf. So just going into each of the stitches. Just sewing it together. Just to secure it extra, I can tie these 2 ends together. And then I'm just going to weave this through the stem. Again, just line it up, make sure that they're both beside each other in a good spot. And there we go, that's the final product. A little jellycat inspired cherry plushie. So adorable. I love it so much. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'd love to see your finished products. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.